Hello, 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 everyone, and good morning, and welcome to Wow Wednesday. I am your host, Nancy Matthews, one of the founders of Women's Prosperity Network, and we have had the pleasure and privilege of bringing you this midweek boost of motivation, education, and inspiration since 2009, every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. So thank you for tuning in and joining us. And today we have a guest with us, Katie Miller. We're going to be talking about the power of the pause. Let's pause for a moment. Before I bring on Katie, I want to share with you a few up and coming happenings in the wonderful, wild world of Women's Prosperity Network. So, first of all, tomorrow night, Thursday, what is that? March 23rd, Thursday, March 23rd, I'm hosting a masterclass on elevating leadership. Because just consider, what if the one thing that's standing between where you are now and where you want to be is yourself? So join me tomorrow night for a complimentary masterclass to elevate your leadership, your self-mastery, and your connections with others. And I'll put the link in the chat there for you in just a few minutes. So we've got that coming up. Yesterday, we had our networking with a twist, which was phenomenal. Everybody coming together, making those really, really deep connections. And then coming up on April the 4th, I believe it is, April 4th is our members only connection call. So be sure to visit womensprosperityNetwork.com and check out all of the great events and resources we've put together to support you in living your best life. And one of those that we love to bring to you is amazing members from our community and other business and thought leaders sharing their techniques and skills for living your best life. And that's what we're going to be talking about today with our guest, Katie Miller. So let me go ahead and introduce Katie, and we're going to dive right in. So first of all, Katie Miller believes that sometimes we need a pause button in our lives, a chance to take a deep breath and see that there are always options. When Katie learned she was going to be a mother in 2003, she decided her child could talk to her about anything without fear of judgment. What she did not know was that she was laying the foundation for her mission with that one decision. In August of 2019, when her sister broke the silence of her suicide attempts, Katie knew there was more she could do to help others, yet she wasn't sure how. Then the world pivoted due to COVID in 2020, and the universal cry for help could no longer be ignored. Katie decided now was the time to share what she had learned. As a certified conscious transformational coach, Katie is on a mission to help others find their purpose and reprogram their emotional remote control. I really like that. This way, we can trigger our own positive states of emotions instead of being triggered into a negative emotion. As the assistant director and co-founder of the Teen Suicide Prevention Society, Katie and her family are on a mission to help put suicide intervention programs out of business because we won't need them. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Katie, for being with us, for the wonderful work that you're doing.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm surprised you actually read all of that I typed in and sent to you, because one of the things that I just found is all of us have situations that pop up to where we are either saying something we instantly regret, or we share something and then get that instant negative response before the other person has a chance to think, which is why power of the pause is one of the things that I like to talk about, because words hurt. And it's a good idea just to take that half a second, before you share something that you can't take back.
Yeah. And one of the things that you just brought up about words hurting is one of the things that happens when our words hurt, right? So there's no visible scar on the body, but the person can walk away in pain, in such pain, and not have any place to talk about it. So it all gets internalized, and that can create a whole internal avalanche, I imagine.
It does, and that's what we talk about with the Teen Suicide Prevention Society. Is it actually creates a negative echo chamber, and the more we try not to think about it, we're actually doubling down on the thought. It's like trying not to think about an elephant. The first thing that pops up in your head is probably, in my case, Dumbo. So
Right.
it's one of the things that we found is, we need to just change the way that we're thinking.
Mm-hmm. Easier said than done.
Absolutely.
And quite frankly, there's that whole that whole cliche about we should talk about the elephant in the room. Well,
Yes.
I think we need to talk about the unicorn in the room.
Well, yes. My name is Katie, and yes, I am a unicorn. One of the things that happened during the great shift, what I call the great shift, between my sister making her talk about her multiple suicide attempts, she and I were in a conversation about New Year's resolutions and realized that they're not fun. So what if we just decided that we were going to be unapologetically ourselves? And so our New Year's resolution for 2021 was, we're going to be unapologetically me. And during that time, I was also doing training on how to speak authentically. But even though I was speaking authentically, I still felt uncomfortable because I didn't feel like Katie. I felt like all of these other labels I had: my son's mom, my husband's wife, Jackie's daughter, and yes, Jackie's in the room, so I'm going to poke fun at her. So it was my way of just claiming who I am. And it makes me smile. So this is my piece of joy I have every single day that helps keep me out of the negative echo chamber.
I love it. I love it. That's really powerful. So let's talk a little bit more about this power of the pause and the negative echo chamber. And combined with, we have our interactions with others, and then that negative echo chamber can really bring us down to places of despair. So what's the process for us with beginning to use this power of the pause?
Well, one of the first things is to just recognize, acknowledge that you're feeling a negative emotion or that something has triggered you. Because once you acknowledge it, you can then address it. And when you address it, you can then change the way that you feel about it. And there are workshops that we offer, not only through my coaching, but also with the Teen Suicide Prevention Society, that actually walks you through the process of taking a limiting belief, like I'm not good enough, and then flipping it into an empowering decision as to, oh, I am good enough. And I have all of this evidence that shows that I'm good enough. For example, adding to my list today is I was interviewed on a fantastic podcast. So I am good enough at what I'm doing.
That's a really great idea, is to create a list of all the things that you've done and accomplished along the way. Is that something that you do? You actually make a list of them?
That I actually have a journal that I've been working on. And it started out with just put down 4 a day to kind of get me started. And yeah, I rolled my eyes a lot when I was starting it out because I didn't think the process was going to work. But I actually have a journal full of evidence of showing that I am good enough to handle money. I am good enough to coach other people. I am a good mom. I am a good sister. I am a good daughter. Because it could be any one of those limiting beliefs that pop up. And it's just each one, I look at it, okay, that's not true. So the opposite has to be true. And then here's the evidence supporting that. And I'm retraining my brain.
I love that concept. And one of the biggest things we do run into that can start that negative echo chamber is this core wound or core false belief that we're not good enough, right?
Right.
And social media has amplified that.
It has, and especially with the instant gratification of social media, the flip side of it is the instant negativity. And we haven't learned how to process those kinds of communications and those kinds of talks. Like, I remember growing up and sitting around the dinner table and always got that dreaded question, how was school today? And I would roll my eyes and be like, why in the world are my parents asking me this question? They know it's the same as it always is. But looking back, I was actually able to process what was going on in my teenage life. So then I could deal with the emotions that was going through in my head. And raising my son, I will admit, we did not always sit at the dining room table and have family conversations because there were better things going on, like streaming TV and streaming movies and being lazy. And I will admit that.
We've all been there. Yeah.
We've all been there at some point in time. But then during this process of self-discovery and self-development, we actually made it a priority to have family dinner sitting at the table. And it was fun asking my son the questions and watching him roll his eyes as to why is mom asking me this question? And I'm like, haha, payback.
You bring up something really key for all of us in the power of the pause context is to check in with the other people in your life. How was your day? What happened good for you today? What happened that was not so good? To, like you said, give us that opportunity to process the emotions rather than internalize, perhaps incorrectly, things that have happened.
Right. And being the opposite person of that conversation, when I asked my son, I would give him my full attention. I would listen without judgment. I would respond with love. This gave him the sense of security that he could speak his truth and share with me what was really going on instead of just brushing it off to the side. Like, I mean, I admit I used to do that, and I sometimes still do that instead of talking about my emotions because it's difficult. But creating that safe space and just having that pause before I reacted allowed time for him to be able to feel heard. And that is an innate human right. We want to feel heard when we speak.
Yes.
And without providing that, it's okay for you to say whatever the heck you want, and I'm still going to love you, and it's not going to change anything. And you might piss me off, but I promise to wait, process before I express that. Then it makes things, the communication is just so much smoother and so much easier.
All right. So you are 100% on board with how to create better communications. And when someone says something to you, typically we want to go, well, blah, 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 either with a solution or a retort or a better idea. How do we stop ourselves?
Well, there's a couple different practices that can be done to keep ourselves in check so we don't have that knee-jerk reaction. And again, the first part is just being aware that that is something that we do, and then making a conscious effort. Actually, it's funny because my gift to the audience today is how to create a personal pause button. One of the things that we've learned as a conscious transformational coach is a way to create muscle memory that instantly helps us take that deep breath, to clear our minds, to slow our heart rates. And this then allows us to have that moment of pause before we say something or react to something that might come across as negative. And that's interesting because I think Nancy just left me all alone and in control of the show. And that's interesting. So I appreciate that. So I'm trying to think as to what to go to next with the power of the pause. Yes, I know. I'm sorry. I'm seeing the chat inside of Zoom. This is not the first time that I have taken over somebody's 3-day event or podcast or something like that. It's just one of the things that the universe allows me to do. One of the things that I found with the power of the pause is that it helps on both ends of the conversation. With muscle memory, the emotional positive remote control. And there's Nancy. I took over your show for a few moments. I hope you don't mind.
I am so glad that you did. We have had a series of fascinating internet issues. So I apologize, everyone. I apologize, Katie. So we're
It's
back.
okay. I just
I
kept
was getting
going and started laughing, so it worked out well.
I love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you for knowing how to just hold it and flow with it. That's what
Yep.
we got to do, right?
Yep. And I was just sharing that the power of the pause works on both sides of the conversation, and both for parents and for teenagers. This is part of what I do with the Teen Suicide Prevention Society is with the pause button. Not only it helps before you react to someone's conversation, it can interrupt the anxiety that we have before we take a test, before we go for that job interview, or when our kid approaches us and says, I have something to tell you, but I don't know how you're going to react.
Mm.
And it could be anything as simple as I scratched the car, but that's huge in a teenager's mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So for the teenager to be able to take a deep breath
Huge.
and anchor themselves, and for the parent to take a deep breath and be like, okay, this could be something incredibly minor, but it's huge to them.
Mm-hmm.
It just opens up that open communication back and forth.
Yeah. You know, my sister Trish is really good at this. And years ago, my daughter was probably 13, 14 years old, something like that. And her friend were hanging out for a sleepover at my sister Trish's house. And at night they had candles burning and they were doing some kind of ritual. They were just having a blast, just being together. And everybody went to bed. Trish wakes up in the morning and it turns out that they left one of the candles burning and it melted down into the table. And initially Trish was like, but she took the power of the pause. I don't know if you taught it to her beforehand, and said, wow, A, the house didn't burn down. B, everybody's safe. And now I have a memory in this table of that awesome evening that
It's all
we
about
had together. So
it's all
that,
about creating what it is that we want that event to mean.
yeah.
And unfortunately, human nature is negatively biased. That's how we survived as cavemen. So we have to just change that conversation that we have with ourselves as to whether or not it's going to be a negative memory or a positive one.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit more, and then we'll come back to some more tips. I'd like to know more about the Teen Suicide Prevention Society, how it operates. Is it a nonprofit? Do you take donations? Like, tell me a little bit more about it, because there's lots of people struggling out there, or struggling in silence, and we may not recognize the signs.
Well, that's the thing, is you can't tell by looking. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter what demographic it is. Yes, we started with teens, but COVID hit and the levels went up for all demographics. We are a 501c3 in good standings based out of Sarasota, Florida, where my mom, Jackie, and my sister, Stephanie, live. And one of the things that we do is we provide tools that helps break open the negative echo chamber and helps people find their reasons for staying. Like how I mentioned before about how I have my evidence showing that I am good enough in all these different categories. We've created worksheets and workbooks that go through a similar process of being in that negative echo chamber and then breaking it open and someone listing their reasons for staying. And it's really funny because when this talk that saves lives was first written, I was doing one of the practice conversations, and being the smart aleck that I am, the first piece of evidence that I listed as to what's my reason for staying was because I haven't seen a unicorn. And I gave a whole bunch of BS answers because I didn't think that the process was actually going to work. Sorry, Mom, but I was being I was doing my normal Katie thing. However, a few years later, something happened with my family, and I actually had that one instant thought that popped up in my head as to maybe it'll be easier if I wasn't here. And this tiny voice in the back of my head says, wait, you haven't seen a unicorn. And then I'm like, crap, my mom was right.
It worked.
It worked.
Yes.
So that's one of the things that we do, is use tools like that. We also have an Advocates for Living training program where we teach others to facilitate the talk that saves lives, the talk that stops negative thinking, the talk to stop bullying, and the talk to stop self-sabotage.
Wow, that's fantastic. So you provide training
So others could take
so
these
other
talks
people can take this message. Really, really good. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And then I see Jackie just put a link in the chat, but she only put it to hosts and panelists.
Right. She was probably putting it in there as a note
So
to me.
I am going, yeah, it's all good. Well, sometimes it's a little confusing to see hosts or everyone. So I just want to make sure everybody can get access to it nice and easily. So that's good. So I just fixed that up.
Yeah, we do accept donations because we accept sponsors.
So
because we want to teach teens. We want to have an advocate in every school in the US.
Beautiful, beautiful mission and vision. And we're grateful to be able to have the platform to give you to talk about this today so that people can get more involved and donate. We need more of these voices out there. And what Katie's teaching us today is everything starts here. Like, we got to be able to be the ones in our one-on-one relationship to create that space of non-judgment, right?
Right.
Are you hearing me okay, or is my internet?
There's a little hiccup sometimes in the audio.
Yeah. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed that it'll stay. So if you would share a little bit more about some other ways that we can go ahead and tap in to the power of the pause, some other techniques that you might have for us.
Well, one of them is actually my gift to the audience. Is I teach a workshop that is creating your own personal pause button. We actually go through a guided meditation and use our own memories and muscle memory to create a personal pause button. Think like Karate Kid, wax on, wax off, and then all of a sudden he was like kung fu fighting. Well, with this, we act literally connection, index finger and thumb making the okay sign. This is a pause button. And it's something that is not obvious. So if you need a few seconds to just center yourself before that interview, before you answer that cell phone call, before you respond to an email that really triggered you, you can just take that half a second. It's built-in muscle memory. You can't wear it out. You can't overuse it. So I'm teaching that workshop for the people watching the episode for free, which I have a link for that. You're going to love my redirect. It's emotionalpausebutton.com.
Easy peasy. Emotionalpausebutton.com. So be sure to go there because and register for the class. We all need these tools to improve our lives right now, in this moment, and tomorrow. And that's how we create the change in the world that we're looking for.
Yes.
So good.
It's really just, and I just did the same thing. I did it to host and to panelist instead of to everyone else in the room. So we'll try that again. But yes, this is one of the tools that I share. I actually teach this on a semi-regular basis as part of an app, a group of coaches that I am with.
Yeah, I think I heard something. I read an email that you sent today about Wisdom app.
Wisdom app is one of the tools that I use, which I think it's absolutely hysterical that I can play on this app and Jackie cannot. With the Wisdom app, people can ask me a question via text and they get a verbal response. So it's just a way to share 1 minute bits of wisdom. The app with the coaches that I am a part of is called GPS to Life Success. And these are all a group of coaches who want to help raise the positivity level of the planet.
I
And
love
so
that.
we offer trainings and free tools and stuff on that app as well.
And if we want to find out about all of these tools and resources that you have, what's the best way to find out?
My link tree, for lack of a better word, is the letter K, the letter T for tsps.com.
KT.
KT for TSPS, Katie for teaspoons.com. And that is pretty much everything Katie. It has the links so you can ask me a question on WhatsApp, or I'm sorry, on WhatsApp or through the Wisdom app. It has other ways to connect with the Teen Suicide Prevention Society to see what else it is that I am up to. And if nothing else, you can send me a text message directly through that site.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, Katie, let's do this. I am certain that we're going to have lots of people with questions and comments, and let me make sure that I have the ability to do all the magic that I want to do here today. For some reason, my participants isn't showing up. I'm having kinds of, I think it gave you control.
Nope,
No,
I'm showing you are back as host.
I am back as host. It's supposed to show me all the attendees, and it's not doing that today. Isn't that exciting? It's just a weird kind of day in human internet land. So let me say this. If you are here on the computer, raise your hand, because I see Jackie just raised her hand, so she should be able to unmute herself. Awesome, everybody. Just raise your hand. If you're on your phone, hit *6, and then I should be able to see everyone. So it's starting to work. So let's start with Jackie.
And I was answering my own question, which is, can I get your computer to work better by raising my hand, and then maybe you'll be able to see us all?
I was hoping that too. We were aligned, Jackie.
I can read your mind, Nancy. Actually, Katie does this for me all the time. And when I'm teaching, she's there in the room, and so she's doing all of the tech stuff. And I figured, well, if she's speaking, the least I could do was try to help with the tech stuff.
Thank you, Mom.
I'm loving this conversation, because it is so critical for us to have a sense of emotional resilience, that even if we get knocked back, we don't get knocked over. And so, Katie, taking a deep breath is always my favorite thing to hear you say to somebody else, because I know how long it took for you to learn to respond that way.
Well, part of that was your wonderful voicemail, that when I would call and leave a message for my mom, it would say, take a deep breath. It'll make you feel better, and it'll make me laugh. And it used to annoy the daylights out of me, but it is a great message. Just taking a deep breath does kind of help the whole body reset.
Awesome. Jackie, is that your voicemail message?
It was.
It used to be. Before I had to be the title of the director of a nonprofit, my outgoing message would say, leave your name and your number, and leave your number twice, even if you think I know you. And remember, take a deep breath. It'll make you feel better, and it'll make me laugh.
I love that. I think you might want to put it back. It's really fantastic. It's really, really great. I love it. Jackie, thank you so much. And thanks for raising your hand, so we would know raising your hand is going to get you in queue, because we would love to hear from you. So please do. So Jackie, thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Let's go next to Abidel, who I know you want to help me with my internet issues, because you are the tech queen. Abidel, did you want to share a question or a comment for Katie? You should be able to talk now. There we go.
I really appreciate this talk from Katie today. It reminds me a lot of what I do in an indirect way with the clients I work with. And yes, taking a deep breath, taking the pause really does make a big difference in helping my clients. So thank you, Katie.
Oh, thank you. And it was great meeting you yesterday at the networking event. And I still think that you should use that tagline, remain calm, it's only tech.
Very cute. Yes, I've written it down.
I needed that today. So thank you for that. Awesome. Abidel, thank you so much for your comment. And you do that because tech is one of the things that really, really stress people out. So you are a gift and a godsend to them in many, many ways.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's go next to Carol Frankham.
What, me? Listen,
Yes.
I've been absolutely mesmerized by what you've been saying. And I see some similarities to some stuff that I do with a little different reasoning. So I would love to have the opportunity to talk to you at some point to see if we really do have something that's similar, because frankly, I'm new at what I'm doing. And I would love to be able to see how you handle the things that you handle. Would you be interested perhaps?
Absolutely. Thank you. I absolutely love talking to other people who do things similar, because who knows, you might have a better way of doing something than what I'm currently doing. And so I like brainstorming with people. So if you actually go to the ktfortsps.com, which we put into the chat, there is a spot there where you can leave me a message. So if you have like a calendar link, for example, if you leave it in there, then I'll be happy to schedule a call with you.
Wonderful. I think it's great. I really, really appreciate it. Okay. And I love what you're doing.
Beautiful, right? And then look at the ways that you can collaborate or enhance. And, you know, maybe Carol, you get trained in delivering these talks, and now every audience that you're a part of is now, you know, expanded for this. I mean, so much like what we always say in Women's Prosperity Network is we may not have it all together, but together we have it all.
Got it.
Yeah, beautiful.
Right.
Thank you for being with us and bringing your light and your gifts to the world. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Question for you from me, and then I'm going to go back to our participants. To get this training, to take these talks out to the communities we're a part of, how does that work? Do I have to apply? Is there a fee for taking these courses?
The courses is, I believe it's currently on the Teen Suicide Prevention Society website for $250.
Mm-hmm.
And
Excellent.
you learn all 4 talks. Between myself and Jackie, we will probably be teaching it again live at least one time this year. And then once you've completed, you have to practice all 4 of the talks with me so I can make sure you have it down pat, and then you're certified. And you are then able to share these talks with other groups.
Fantastic.
And that money goes straight to the nonprofit. I don't see a penny of that training. That's all to help raise money so we can help others, especially, you know, our mission to try and get it into the schools.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, good. Thank you for that. Let's go to Tammy, who is here today because she knows you. So welcome, Tammy.
Thank you. Hi, Katie.
Hi, sweetie.
I just wanted to tell you how awesome I think what you're doing is. I've created my own pause button, and it has changed my life, especially with my family. And I also really appreciate you talking about the guide to the talk that saves lives, because several years ago, I used it with my own son, and I am so glad to say that he is still here. He found reasons to stay, and I am so grateful for that guide, for that talk. And I just thank you, Katie, for all you do, and I love you. Thank you.
I love you too, sweetie, and thank you for being one of our first advocates for living. Tammy was part of our first group of training
Wow.
people to become certified. So she always reminds me that what we're doing is important, and I greatly appreciate that.
Beautiful. Thank you, Tammy. And I love that approach rather than suicide prevention, which is part of it. Advocates for living, like to be able to lift people out of, that place of despair where, not staying seems like the best option, to give them options and ideas, because that's what, it seems like it's the best option. Well, how do we create that reason to stay? So I love that whole approach that you take
And
for this.
it helps empower them in finding the evidence in their lives that they do have a reason for staying. They do have a purpose for being here. And so that's one of the reasons why I like it, is just because it's more than just listing these reasons. It's like, oh, wait, now I remember. This is something that's important to me. And if I'm gone, this is never going to change. If I'm here, I can then be touched and empowered to move forward and then share my mission, share my message with the world.
Amazing. Good stuff. So let me check in. We've got several people in queue who I think you've raised your hand. Let's start with Eves Ramirez.
Hello, good morning. I just wanted to say thank you to Kari. Kathy, what you are doing is just life transforming, changing, blessing to others. So thank you so much, because that is God's work. So you are part of the mission saving lives. So that is just not less than amazing. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And then thank you also for that concept of a pause, because I have to learn a thing or two of those things. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad it helps.
Thank you, Eves. We appreciate you being here and being part of the conversation. And we all take this ripple out into our lives and then into the lives of others, right? Like everybody just paused a little bit. So thank you, Eves.
Thank you, guys. Love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, let's go next to, if you would like to unmute yourself, just hit *6 on your phone. I see 917658. If you'd like to unmute yourself, we'd love to have your question or comment. I also see Peg Duchesne may have wanted to talk. And again, I'm slightly tech challenged today. I'm so sorry. Barbara Johnson.
I do see there's an 850 phone number that's unmuted.
All right. That's somebody in our Tallahassee area. Might that be Olivia, perhaps?
Actually, it's Joy.
Ah, very good. Hello, Joy.
Hello. I have not been a part of the group for a while. I used to listen maybe over a year ago, but it's ironic that I finally got back into it today, because I was the one, I think I mentioned on the last call when I was on, that my teenage daughter was had attempted suicide. She attempted suicide 3 times. She's doing fine now, but unfortunately her twin brother just recently, I found a note from him. He was planning on it. He did not do it, but he felt like he was a disappointment to me. And I just wanted, sorry.
Okay, Joy,
Go
ahead.
I wanted to reach out to Katie if I could get an email address or something.
Absolutely. I'll put it in the chat. It's Katie.
She's on the phone.
Well,
She's on the phone, so you'll
I'm gonna say it as well. It's Katie, Katie, at Teen Suicide Prevention Society.com.
Thank you so much. I'll be in contact.
Thank you for sharing. I know how difficult that can be.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you for Look at the tap you got that today was the day you were supposed to get back on, right? So we're grateful for you and send love and blessings to you and your family. So good. Let's go to Peg Duchesne.
Good morning, Nancy. Hi, Katie. How are you? I just want to applaud you for the terrific work you do. So much needed. And I just applaud you for everything. I did arrive late with a meeting conflict this morning, and I will go back and listen to the Wow Wednesday recording because I know it was powerful, all that you poured into us. And I love your little decorations and
Thank you.
cone
My
on your head.
menagerie.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Thank
These
you
are-
for the hard work you do and the service you provide. It's invaluable for sure, my friend.
Thank you very much. And as much as I appreciate all the love everyone is showing me, I could not have done this alone. My sister Stephanie is the one that broke the silence, and that's what launched the whole mission, because she wanted to get the tools that she has to find the joy in everyday living and share it with teens before they needed them. So I appreciate the credit and accept that. Thank you. But I also want to make sure that everyone knows I'm not alone in this mission.
Right. Well, none of us do it alone. It takes a village, right?
Absolutely, it does. Yes.
Well, and at WPN, Nancy's going to smile. I love saying this. We may not have it all together, but together we have it all. So
that I am getting that feeling with this community, and I'm just bubbling over with joy. So thank you very much.
good. I'm glad you're receiving it. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Yes, of course, and thank you, Peg. And one of the things that we here at Women's Prosperity Network are committed to is having the conversations and bringing on guests that pull these things out of the darkness and into the light, because we need to, and they're not comfortable things to talk about, but to not talk about them is really uncomfortable when we look at it at the other side.
It can be, but one of the things that we found is silence is not golden, it's deadly. And we really do need to talk about this, whether it be suicide, whether it be mental health, whether it be addiction, all of these things that we think that are shameful on our families, or people aren't going to like us because I have this in my past. Screw that. Be unapologetically yourself and own your. Okay, I'm not going to say it because I don't know if I can swear on your show, but own your stuff. I said, own your shit. I'll say it. Own your shit. Be unapologetically yourself. Or shifty. Yes, own your shift. You really don't want the other stuff. You just want to shift. So then that way you can move forward. Thank you, Mr. Barry Shore.
Yeah. There you go. Love Barry Shore. Love Barry Shore. And I think that one of the pervasive challenges that I see is, while it's more acceptable to talk about, depression and anxiety and stress, I still feel and see that there's still a stigma attached. If you say you feel one of these things, or you're feeling depressed, or maybe you're on medication and there's an imbalance going on, like, it's still judged as you're less than if you can't do it. And the whole positivity train and doing positive affirmations and this and that is great, but I've also seen that have a boomerang effect in the negative. Can you speak to that a little bit?
It's one of the terms that I have heard is toxic positivity.
Yes.
And I saw a great meme where someone or an individual was drowning. They had their hands sticking up out of the water like they were reaching for help. Mm-hmm. And someone on a boat came by, and instead of grabbing their hand and pulling them out of the water, they gave them a high five. And unfortunately, that's kind of how this toxic positivity is going on. Someone shares how they're feeling, and there's either the one-upmanship, oh, that's nothing, I'm going through this, or there is the, oh, poor you, let me do the false sympathy, false empathy thing.
And that's because, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think that happens because people don't know how to respond
yes,
effectively.
right. I'm not trying to put blame on that. It's just
Yeah.
how we unfortunately we're taught to express this. So that's part of the other things that we have some great partners with the Teen Suicide Prevention Society who do social emotional intelligence training and help us learn how to express our emotions, and the fact that we only use 12 words to express our emotions when there's like 12,000 or something like that. It helps broaden our vocabulary so that it's easier to express what it is we're going through.
Which I love that you're bringing this into the schools, which creates awareness for the children as well as the parents, so that we are equipped with the tools to have these conversations. And that's what it's all about. It's bringing a new level of awareness, education, and communication into this experience of humanity, which is all different shades of emotions on the spectrum that we must embrace, because it's just part of it, right? And learning how to manage through it.
Yeah, and it's all just one step at a time. And even if that step is backwards, you're at least moving, and you can move forward again.
Yeah, very good. Let's go ahead and take another call from Olivia Jones. Oh, I probably need to push this little button. There you go. You should be able to share now.
Yes, there I am. Thank you, Nancy. I have a quick question about, do you teach young people coping mechanisms? So I think one of the things that we've come, like society, especially young people today, there's so many things that they're faced with, so many just heavy burdens, and being able to cope. What are some of the things that we, I think, as adults are able to transfer to these young people, how to be able to sustain when life does hit you? One of the things I think somebody mentioned, you get knocked by, but not over. But how do we teach resilience?
One conversation at a time. And one of the things that I found is that creating that safe space. You know, I've created 3 rules that I started years ago and didn't even dawn on me that this was part of my mission. And it's speak your truth without fear, listen without judgment, and respond with love. And these became the rules of our household. So when my son's friends came over, it was, hi, my name is Katie. You can call me mom. What's your preferred name? What's your preferred pronoun? This is where the drinks are. This is where the snacks are. And keep your hands off my swords that are hanging on the wall in the basement. Everyone got a great laugh out of it, but it gave a sense of security. So then that way, when something was bothering one of these kids, they knew that they could come and talk to an adult who wasn't going to react. And that's very difficult position to be in sometimes, because they tell me stuff and I'm like, well, I need to tell their parents. But instead of me immediately taking that action, I would tell them, this is something you should share with your parents, because they can help you process this. They can help you through it. They might have better suggestions for you than what I can give, because they live with you on a regular basis. So just being willing to have those conversations and reminding them that there are ways to process without having the emotional outburst. Sometimes emotional outbursts are great, but it's kind of like a pressure cooker. It builds up, it builds up, it builds up, then it explodes and you have to clean the entire kitchen. You know, if we can get them to express it a little bit earlier, when they're starting to feel the icky emotions or starting to show signs of really feeling like crud, then that will help prevent those, what I call pressure cooker explosions at the end of the day. One of the other things, you're welcome. And one of the other things that I found is I actually don't care much for the word cope. To me, that feels kind of like a Band-Aid. I don't want to slap a Band-Aid on it. I'd much rather teach them tools to process their emotions, to express their emotions, to work through the quote unquote situation that has them all tied up in knots. So then that way, the next time that situation pops up, it doesn't bother them nearly as much. So thank you for helping bring awareness to that for me.
My pleasure.
Very good.
I like tools for processing, and I think that even spills up or even into adulthood. So.
Oh yeah, this is all stuff that I wish I had as a teenager.
Right, and stuff that we're practicing right now in our lives, because the same things that we're talking about, the essence of communicating with compassion, both for others and for ourselves. Right, so that's what you get out of that. Yeah, beautiful. Olivia, thank you so much. And everyone here, please do visit teensuicidepreventionsociety.com. I got that right?
Yes.
Join Katie for her class, emotionalpausebutton.com. And you can reach out to her directly through kt4tsps.com, right?
Correct. And I'll go into the number 4. Yeah, letter K, letter T, number 4. And I'll go into the Facebook group and on this feed, and I'll put those links in the chat in there when we're done.
Fantastic. And I want to give a shout out to Nicole Truss, who has been amazing in our Facebook group, recapping and posting the links as we talked about them. So thank you, Nicole, for being there, because we may not have it all together, but together we have it all, right?
Thank you.
And then also, isn't she on with this community? It's amazing. And then also, I just wanted to touch upon 2 more things. Number 1 was recapping those 3 rules. Is it speak with fear?
No.
Listen without judgment? No.
It's
speak without fear.
Truth
Sorry.
Without fear.
Oh, very good.
Yes. Speak your truth without fear. Listen without judgment, and respond with love.
Listen without judgment and respond with love. Thank you.
Even if you don't agree with what they say, respond with love. So
good. Let's take this into every relationship that we have. So good. So good. And then Anya Weinberg mentioned whether or not you've heard of, and I'm sure you have, but the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Are you connected with that, or? We are not affiliated with any of the other suicide prevention intervention programs out there. To be honest, we want to get to everyone before they need intervention, which is why we're wanting to put intervention out of business. Yes. But no, I do have a couple emails with a couple of the bigger organizations than our nonprofit. So some things might be in the works, some things might be not. We just have to wait and see. Yeah, just keep doing the good work. And thank you for doing the good work. Thank you. Yeah, to you, to your sister, to your mom, to everybody involved. And for all of you being here today to be part of this conversation, to take the power of the pause into your own life, to enhance your relationships and your inner circle, and then sharing it with others so that we can all be authentically ourselves, to show up as unicorns that are amazing. And you got a reason to stay. Still haven't seen a unicorn, huh? No, I had one person tell me that I saw a fat unicorn. They called it a rhino. I told them they were wrong. So you stay around. So I'm still looking for that unicorn. I love it. I love it. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Katie, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being the consummate, person of ease and grace when we had tech challenges. So I really appreciate who you are, who you're being, and all the goodness that you're bringing into so many lives. So thank you. Thank you so much. This was lots of fun. Awesome. Awesome. And thank you to everyone joining us here, whether you are on Zoom, on Facebook, or watching it on the replay. Bring the power of the pause into your life today and experience more peace and more happiness for yourself and for those around you. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye, Katie.